All right, we're gonna go. Go ahead. Gallo, you got it. Derek, who's got it? Honorary Gallo.
Mark, you all obviously had such a wonderful moment on the court with everybody a few nights ago. Now had a few days to kind of digest the Western Conference Finals. What's these last few days been like as you guys kind of get in the mode of trying to get yourselves prepared for what's coming ahead?
A lot of rest, to be honest with you. With the layoff and the run we had coming into this, not only the last series, but the series before that was 7 games in probably 14 days or something like that. So it was a good little stretch there, and we thought the guys would benefit from 2 straight days just to be able to rejuvenate and recover. And now we're back at it today and in the next couple days.
Anything from what you've seen over the last few weeks that you feel like these next stretch of days are going to be critical for you all in terms of making strides and improving the way that you have over the course of the playoffs?
Yeah, we've had this experience now a couple times, playing week, and then the week after Memphis before Denver while we waited for that series to end. So we've had to manage these like week-long blocks between series. There's obviously challenges with it, but there's a lot of benefits to it as well. And we've tried to strike the right balance of resting and getting ourselves physically ready for the upcoming series while also staying as sharp as we can, staying in as much rhythm as we can. And we've tried to learn from each time, and we'll try to do the best we can with the week.
Mark, you're obviously getting great play out of a lot of guys. Your 3 top guys have really stepped forward. I'm wondering, Chet specifically, what have you? I mean, obviously defensively he's been really good. Offensively, he's been solid too. But what have you liked most just about what he's brought to the playoffs?
I think him, certainly Jalen, Shea. This is as deep of a run as anybody's made, other than Caruso, and so these are it's more experiences, it's more opportunity to go through high-level basketball and to have to rise to the challenges of a playoff series against quality opponents under high pressure. And they've done a great job of growing through that. But that's the most exciting thing about it is less about what exactly they're doing on the court. It's really not much different from what they do. I mean, they're playing their game, but they're doing it on this stage. And every time you check those boxes and conquer those hurdles, so to speak, you get better and more confident or wiser, if you fall short. And so the experiences are what's best for all those guys.
You've, again, got a lot of guys with a lot of resiliency in their background stories of that. But with Chet having such a recent episode with the hip injury, and, I get the feeling like those on the outside probably don't even appreciate just how serious that was and what he sort of had to go through to rehab. But how do you feel like that through line, and how has that sort of affected him and maybe even trickled over into the rest of your guys?
He's done a great job of handling those situations. He always comes back stronger, certainly mentally, as a result of those. This was no different. This was a particularly tricky one because he's such a high-impact player, and we were having such a great season, despite him being out for a little while, that integrating him back in and him integrating back in was a challenge and could have tripped a wire, and it didn't. He did a great job of just blending back into the team. The team did a great job of allowing that process to take place without judgment and just let it unfold and grow over time. And we've benefited from it as a result because now we're better than we were then. As well as we were playing then, I think we're more complete now and certainly have a higher ceiling as a team now. So in terms of how we can play and the impact we can have. And so it's a credit to the work he did and the rest of the guys.
You mentioned the value of the experiences and the challenges that you guys have gone through throughout this postseason, specifically with Chet, but with the team as a whole. Have you been able to reflect on that Minnesota series and just any hurdles that you guys cleared that are encouraging to you as you move forward here?
I mean, that's a series against a team that was in the Western Conference Finals last year. They were one of the best teams in the NBA from pretty much like March 1st on. So they were playing their highest level of basketball of the season. They have very, very good like playoff depth. They go 8 strong, deep with high impact 2-end players. Their coach and coaching staff is quick to adapt, pretty bold, pretty unpredictable. He'll do anything in any situation, and it forced us to be pretty nimble. And so there were tactical challenges in that series. They really made a very strong adjustment between games 2 and 3. Game 3 was a real hurdle, in terms of just the way we performed and where that left us at the end of that game. Even though we were up 2-1, that was we got bloodied up in that game, and so that forced us to respond in a different way. And then being up 2-1 going into a game 4 on the road, and then being up 3-1 going into a game 5 at home, those are situations we haven't been in this deep in the playoffs, and having to play from ahead of a series. The previous series we had to come back and tie the series a couple different times, and so that series was really rich for us.
Mark, you mentioned sort of the length of the run and what it did for the confidence of your top 3 guys. With Jalen specifically, he's referenced the Game 7 against Denver a few times as sort of the hump that you guys had to get over. Have you seen changes in his confidence, especially since then, and maybe as a whole this run, like compared to last year versus Dallas, for him specifically?
Yeah, I think as a team, as individual players, you have to navigate these competitive waters. You have to have confidence and you have to have wisdom, and a combination of those things. You don't want to be, so wise that you're overcautious. You don't want to be so confident that you're overconfident. You kind of have to hold those two things, the confidence and the urgency, or the wisdom. You have to hold those things in balance. And the experiences help you with both if you internalize the experiences the right way. And the team does a great job of that. Jalen does a great job of that. He's had some great moments that I think have given him a lot of confidence. He's also struggled at different times, which I think have been informative for him. And the thing that is his secret sauce, and hopefully the team's secret sauce, is the experiences are what they are. You do your best, and then the outcomes, happen. And then you have to learn from them, and you have to grow from them. And nobody's done a better job than him of doing that in these playoffs, or in his track record.
Yeah, you mentioned the moments where you kind of have to combine the wisdom and confidence. Like, what has Caruso done in terms of before those moments even come, just helping manage that balance?
To me, it's less about like what he says and what his experiences are, and more about he walks the walk. Like, he is just so competitively present in every single moment. He's so engaged in every single moment that if you're around him, it kind of draws you into the moment. It gets your feet on the ground, because he's not thinking about anything other than what's going on right now. Whether that's a shoot-around drill, or whether that's having a 10-point lead in the second quarter, or whether that's the other team's got the ball under out of bounds with 4 on the shot clock. Like, he, in all those situations and the other millions of situations there could be, his feet are on the ground and he's fully present. And I think that helps everybody. There's a contagiousness to that, which is why he's just such a impactful 5-on-5 basketball player.
Anyone else for Coach? Go ahead.
Coach, obviously this has been a while for the fans. Have been back to the NBA Finals. They seem to take pleasure in getting as loud as possible. As a coach, is that anything that you think you've noticed or been surprised with, this how loud they've been during this playoff season? Or as a coach, do you even notice something like that?
I notice it. I mean, the fans are incredible anyways. The energy in the city is great. I've spoken many times about just the encouragement and the support and the positivity that exists in this particular market with this particular fan base, and how much that helps our players. But the actual home court, from I walk out there 3 minutes before the game, and everybody's ready to. They're in their seats, they're standing, their T-shirts are on, and then they not only help you when you're on a positive run and it's gotten unbelievably loud. They've done a great job, but there was the time in Game 5 in the third quarter when we just didn't really have our footing, and Minnesota was starting to get a little bit of confidence, and it just felt like it felt a little uneasy just with what was going on in the court, and they bring you back then they sense that that's a moment where the team needs them, and they get behind the team in those situations. It's not a skepticism, it's like I said, an encouragement and a support. So I can't say enough about the home court, can't say enough about the fans. We certainly appreciate everything they do for us, and we certainly are going to need them. We have the first 2 at home here. We're going to need them again this week.
Mark,
Last question to Jenny.
Indiana obviously still on the other side of the bracket. Paul George was a guy that was here when you all, obviously he's the reason Shay's here. What do you remember about Paul and just that whole situation? I know you weren't officially head coach at that point, but what do you remember just sort of the movement that brought Shay here and Paul's time here in Oklahoma City?
I don't really remember much about the trade. It's more I was around training camps, and I was obviously the G League coach when Paul George was here. Just the talent of that guy was ridiculous. Just the way he moved on both ends of the floor, his fluidity on offense and defense. The way that he made defense look. He's just like such a graceful athlete, And I say that like with all due respect. He kind of floats in a way where he doesn't look like he's exerting a lot of effort, and yet he's covering as much ground as anybody. And he did that on offense too, with the ball. And he wasn't here long, but had great years here. One of the best years of his career here, and one of the best individual seasons players had here, which is saying something, here with the guys they've had. So I have a lot of respect for him, and he was the same guy every day. Good professionalism and good teammate and all that stuff.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep, thanks.
Over in Inquirer next.
Chet, each of these 3 series have kind of tested you, challenged you in different ways, mentally and physically. Big picture, though, what do you feel like you guys have gotten the most out of the 16 games you played?
I feel like every single game gave us a different challenge, a different look, different things to learn from, and I feel like we did a good job as we saw new things as series and games evolved. We did a good job adjusting and continue to kind of play to our stuff.
You guys have had to flex this muscle of having a week between series and not knowing who your opponent is, all that. How much, I guess, better do you feel like you guys are now at handling these types of situations than maybe, in past times where you've had this?
Yeah, just like any other experience that we've had to go through, I feel like we've learned from them and figured out how we can be better for the next time we see that challenge. And this is just another part of the playoffs, another thing that you have to kind of maximize and make the most of, and that's what we're trying to do.
Chet, Dub, after the game the other night, was just saying that he felt Game 7 against Denver was sort of you guys getting over the hump as a team. What have you since changed in terms of confidence or anything since that game? Like, what did that game, that series, do for this group?
I don't know. I feel like in the Denver series, we definitely got better and learned from those things. I also feel like every series is so different. You can't kind of compare one series to the next in that way. Like if you switched up the order, I think series would look pretty similar because it comes down to who you're playing. But we definitely learned from that, and I feel like coming out of that, we're definitely a better team, and we just have to continue to do that going forward.
Chet, when you self-evaluate your performance in the playoffs, what have you liked to see most out of yourself?
I wouldn't say I'm at that kind of point of reflection. I'm still kind of looking where I can be better, how I can be better, because we still have games coming up. So, my mindset is more so on what the team needs me to be and become for us to be the best selves that we can be.
Well, can I ask you then, what are some things that you still hope to build on?
Just continue to read and react to what defenses are giving me in real time. understanding that different teams have different philosophies and want to guard you different ways, guard us as a team different ways. So just kind of being able to read that in real time and not have to wait until after the game to watch the film and be better for next game. But every game is super important. So just trying to be better and be quicker in those situations so that we can maximize each game.
There's obviously the X's and O's side of what you're doing, but there's also sort of the motion and the mental. And when it comes to resiliency, you've obviously got some bullets in that gun from very recently. Do you allow yourself to sort of draw from that? The fact that 4 months ago you were basically, I don't know. I can't imagine what it was like when they told you basically you can't get out of bed for like weeks. So like, do you draw on that? What do you reflect on that when you think about that time?
Yeah. Every time I think about it, I just the thing that pops into my mind is it was fucked up. So, but I've unfortunately been through it before, in a different capacity. But we have such an opportunity in front of us. Like, I'm not even really focused on that. I'm focused on this opportunity we have, and it's such a blessing. It's if anybody can say it's not guaranteed, it's me. And just understanding that anything can happen. So you just got to go out there and give it your all leading up to it, give it your all in the games, and really just kind of enjoy it, because it's not guaranteed.
What do you do when you can't even like get out of bed? Do you binge watch like Ted Lasso or basketball games or read, or what do you do?
No, you wake up, you do what you can, which isn't a lot. You can eat right, and when I was in that headspace, I didn't really feel like watching basketball. So I'd kind of wake up, go on my phone, eat, and then I would take a super long nap, and then I would wake up and do that again, and then I'd go back to sleep. And I had to do that until I could walk. So it was brutal. Brutal.
Like say you guys have gotten used to this long layoff, but does this actually help you because you did a pretty big thing, you won the West, you have time to absorb that, but now also time to maybe move on to the bigger task?
Yeah, obviously, that's a challenge in the sport. Obviously, you want to be in the moment, be where your feet are, and when you win, that's a special thing. It's not guaranteed in this league. If everybody was guaranteed to win, it'd be a participation trophy instead of a Larry O'Brien. So you have to kind of take it in and understand what you've accomplished to that point. But then kind of the next day, you have to start turning the page, get rid of the emotions and start focusing on preparation and what you have to do to, conquer the next step. And that's where we're at.
And also, how much does it help? Does it help at all you played either one of these teams, Knicks or Pacers, considering you only played them twice, and the playoffs are different? So do you even draw on what you did in the regular season against them, or is it totally a blank slate?
You have to draw on everything you've done up to this point, not only playing against them in the regular season, but we looked at the regular season as an opportunity to build ourselves into who we needed to be to have a good chance no matter who we play. So less so looking back on what we've done and more so looking forward to what we have to do and understanding that all that work that we did before kind of prepared us for that. So that's the way we're looking at it. And we just have to be prepared and ready to play no matter who's in front of us.
Can you talk about just the kind of vibe or excitement that the team gets when the Thunder fans kind of get into the game, and especially during those down moments, and they feel like they're trying to push the team along? How does that feel for you?
Feels amazing. It's like having a sixth player out there sometimes almost. The only time it hurts is when you're trying to like communicate and like everybody understands like you know, you never want to see one of your teammates get blindsided by a screen or something. But when we get to the timeouts, we're talking. We're like, I'm trying to talk to you, but it's loud, and they understand. And um, you know, that's the only disadvantage I'd say. But the other team has to deal with that too. And on top of that, uh, you know, they're cheering for us and they're cheering against the other teams. So it's like it's a great advantage to have, and we have the best fans in the world. I can't think of any sport, any arena, any team that has better fans than we do. So we appreciate them, and you know, I look forward to the atmosphere going forward.
Is there a game that stands out the most that made this been the loudest for you that you had to look up and go, hey, what's really happening here?
I'd probably say game 2 against the Wolves, when we kind of had a couple runs there in the third quarter. It was definite in there.
Chet, you said around the time that you were bedridden that you didn't feel like watching basketball. Why is that? I mean, I can only assume that you feel like the game sort of like betrayed you almost. Like, why didn't you want to watch basketball?
No. I don't know, just kind of in my headspace. Like, I wouldn't say watching basketball. I'd say like watching games live necessarily. You know what I mean? I had to like kind of take a step back, just for a couple weeks there. But like I was still on YouTube watching like hoops mixtapes and just watching like whatever I felt like searching up at the time. You know, pull ups and this and that. But yeah, live games, I had to take a step back for a couple weeks.
Yes. And you mentioned the old Thunder teams before. Like, as part of your childhood, like resurfacing in this past week or so, like what comes to mind in terms of your viewership growing up of those teams?
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely a surreal feeling. Again, like with the opportunity we have in front of us, I'm trying not to think about too much outside of what we need to do to prepare to be ready to play and everything. But it's hard not to kind of think back to, you know, when I was a kid and I was just starting in AAU. I was in, you know, late elementary school, and you know, all the kids on the team, all the kids on other teams were on the OKC bandwagon back then. You know, it was like youth's bandwagon or something. Like all the kids were just rocking with them, and they were an electric team. You know, they were fun to watch, and you know, they had players that we all kind of looked up to, and you know, to kind of fast forward and then have this opportunity, it's definitely special. So there's definitely no taking it for granted.
Just follow up. I know a couple of those guys from that team are in the building, but like, have any of the other guys like sort of reached out to you over the past few days, anything like that?
I'd say my private conversations are my private conversations.
Chet, you had talked about the value of having this week and trying to take advantage of it as best as you guys can. What for these last 2 games or last 2 days in particular, just how valuable has the rest been for you guys after 16 playoff games so far?
Man, I can't speak for anybody else, but you know, I've been taking full advantage of recovery mode, so it's been big. Yeah.
Postseason wise, you got to jump through a lot of hurdles. Is there one particular game that kind of stands out for this team to jump over? Was it game 4 in Denver, maybe game 7 against Denver, maybe game 4 in Minneapolis? What was like the one game that kind of got you over the hump?
I wouldn't say it was one game. I think you mentioned a couple good ones. Game 7 against Denver, game 4 against Minnesota. You know, game 7's obviously a win or go home. You don't win that, you know, we're talking about what we got to get better for the summer and, you know, making plans for that. So that's a big game. I feel like we responded really well for that game and played really well. And then game 4 in Minnesota, obviously it changed the whole series to be up 3-1 versus 2-2 and, you know, on the road, responding from a bad game the game before. So, and I'd say the fashion we won into, you know, that was an electric game that was going back and forth, you know, down the stretch. People making big plays on both ends, and you know, it was really it's really important for us to kind of be able to do that and kind of see what we can be in those moments and this year or going forward, we're going to be in situations like that again. So knowing that we can do it and knowing how to do it is very important for us. So I'd say that's a big game.
And try again with fans and with a parade and all that.
One follow for you. You've been with Mark for a long time, off and on, obviously with the Blue and now here. It's how deserving is he of where he's at and what he's been able to do with his team? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, Mark's earned it. That's a theme around here and with this team is, you have the opportunity to earn whatever you want. Everything's kind of in front of you to go get and achieve. And, Mark is a great work ethic, great mind for the game. He does a good job of, keeping the focus of the team and aligning our mindset for where it needs to be. And, I can tell a difference between, you see players work on their game and improve skills, over the years. And, from when I've was coached by him the first time to now, I can tell he's improved at his craft. So, credit to him for just putting his head down and going to work.
Next question is from Mohammed.
Hi, Alex. Mohammed here from the UAE. I wanted to ask you spoke about the importance of the fans. How important is it to go to the finals and knowing you have home court advantage?
Yeah, I mean that's obviously a great advantage for us. Obviously with our fans and how we've played at home this year. We tend to have great energy at home. But yeah, I mean that's what you work so hard for all year. That's why you play the games during the regular season and you don't just kind of hope to get to the postseason or just play for a number, whatever the spot is, we had a game 7 against Denver that we played at home, which was, I can't speak to what ifs, but it's hard to imagine us winning by 30 and then pulling their starters at Denver in a game 7. So just having that ability to, know that if there's a deciding game, we get to play it at home is, it's a good advantage for us.
Thank you.
Next question, Jeff Zilgett, USA Today.
Hey, Alex, thanks for taking a few minutes this afternoon. I asked Mark about this. It's the 30th anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing this year, and Mark said that everyone who comes through the organization pays a visit to the museum and memorial. I wanted to know what that visit was like for you and, how much I know you haven't been there a long time, but how much you can tell that event has shaped and, helped strengthen the community.
Yeah, I mean, I went 9 years ago when I was in Exhibit 10, and then I played on the G League team. So like that should give you an idea of, how maybe not serious isn't the word, but how much it means to the organization that is ingrained to us about what happened and how it affects the community, and I think why there's such a tight bond between the community and the team. Obviously, something like that you hope to never happen, and after it does, you just have so much empathy and sympathy for people that went through it and have to live with the consequences of that. But like I said, I think the cool thing about the organization is no matter how big, small, what your role is on the team, you make a trip out there just to learn about the history of it and how it did impact the community and understand why the relationship is so tight between this team and the organization and the community.
Thank you, Alex.
Excuse me.
Next question is from Naveen.
Hi, yes, thank you. Hi, Alex. Good luck in advance for the NBA Finals. You got to spend some time with some great players over the years, like LeBron and AD, obviously, when you won the championship with them. And now you get to spend time with guys like Jalen and SGA. What are some of the similarities that you saw in LeBron and AD that you kind of see in your all-star teammates now that made you realize right away that these guys were special basketball players? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you get all-star, all-NBA talent, it's usually not an overnight success. Like there's, obviously LeBron was anointed from when he was like 18, and AD was good. coming out of college and high draft picks and all that. But even with those guys in their career paths, like there's a certain work ethic and there's a certain competitive drive that separates, good players from great players and, all-stars from all NBA players and MVP candidates to winners. There's always there's a tangible competitiveness to be great every time that they're on the floor. And obviously the work ethic to go with it is, what separates, like I said, one level from another. And both of those guys on my team now have that, just unbelievable talent mixed with really, really strong competitive drive to be their best and to be better than they were the day before. And then the work ethic to go with it.
Next question is from Jim Conlon.
Hi, Alex. Jim Conlon here from RCB Radio Sport Ireland. Alex, you're renowned for your passing ability and your ability to make key assists in key games. I'm wondering, what's it like to be on the floor and have that 1-2 punch combination when we're playing with Shea, who's the ability to drive and kick out in terms of spacing on the floor and being able to go over the top and deliver into the post to Chet as well. How is that like as a playmaker in terms of passing, making assists when you have that 1-2 punch to play off?
Yeah, luckily for me, I've played with some great players over my career, so I've gotten used to playing off of the gravity that these great players create. And Shea, Chet, J-Dub, they all have that to where the other team has to really recognize where they are and usually commit more than one person to them. So for me, it's just about reading the game. And a lot of it is just like a numbers game, seeing where guys are matched up, knowing how teams rotate, stuff like that. And then obviously just being unselfish and finding the open guy.
Christos, next question.
Hey, Alex, hope you're doing well. I would like to ask you, as one of the vets of this team, and looking the young core that you have and the future, how bright is the in OKC? How refreshing for you is to be part of this young, ambitious team? And from your perspective, what makes this team so special, so good on and off the floor?
Yeah, really excited to be here and play with this group of guys. Over the year, I've gotten to know them really well, and I'm very close. Just going through the battles of the regular season and the playoffs now with them. And even for being a young team, there's a mental and emotional maturity within the game that that they possess that has been honed and been drilled into them, I think, since they've been here, but also just some natural competitiveness that goes with that. That's made it really easy for me to just fall in line and do what I do best, which is play hard and play for the team. And sorry, what was the second part of the question? I forgot it.
This team so special from your perspective, looking at the young core that you have?
Yeah, I think what makes them special is like their, like I said, I think their ability to process things and learn so quickly. A lot of times with young teams in the NBA, there's a learning curve that is much longer and not quite as sharp. That I think we've been able to fast track and facilitate just the ability to progress. And I think that's it's a shout out to the coaches in the organization for allowing, the guys to flourish in a good environment, but also, a group of special guys that, like I said, are willing to sacrifice, they're willing to learn, they want to get better, they have the desire to grow. Whenever you get that, in young players, and then, you put the competitiveness with it, there's opportunity for tremendous growth and success.
Our final question will be from Tony from Mundo Deportivo.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Hello, Alex. Hello, Alex. It's Tony from Mundo Deportivo, Spain. Yeah, when you first arrived at the team, of course, you have already a lot of experience in the NBA, championship experience. But when Coach Mark Daigneault came up to you, presenting to you the ideal defense that he had, and as you were seeing this defense when in the process of getting used to it, what did jump out to you the most about it?
Yeah, I remember when Mark came and visited me in Austin, and it's where I live in the summer. He came and watched me work out, and then we went and got lunch, and we were just breaking down right after the trade. We were just breaking down, you know, the team and how they like to play. And I was trying to figure out, you know, my teammates and stuff like that. And one of the things he talked about defensively was, you know, just the ability to play off of instinct. You know, there's set rules and there's principles that, you know, kind of give the base and the structure for it. But he really empowers you to, you know, if you see a play, go make it. And I think that's one of the strengths of this team is we have guys that have great instincts and, you know, mix that with natural defensive ability that a bunch of individuals have. And we put that together as a team. And I think through the course of the year, we figured out, you know, different areas where guys are going to be aggressive, and you start to anticipate that, and you start to cover for them if they don't get it, and then, you know, it just puts the next person in rotation, and we do a great job of covering up for each other. So talking with him about that and then seeing it, you know, come to fruition through the season has been a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Alex, thank you very much. This concludes our session today. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.